Hey everyone, it's Justin with Voices for Voices. Thank you for joining us again on this episode of the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. We are over 290 episodes, really remarkable what the team and what we've been able to do. It's been quite a flurry of activity, uh, getting the content and then being able to get that content out to you, our loyal uh, listeners, viewers, uh, co-viewers. Some have watch parties, listening parties. We can't thank you enough. We wouldn't have been able to do this many episodes, and we would have we would have stopped a long time ago. But because of your interest in our quest to help people with that humongous goal, that we'd like to help 3 billion people over the course of my lifetime and beyond. Um, we we keep on going, and that that's hard to do on a lot of days where we we feel like almost like there's like quicksand beneath our beneath us. Uh, feels like we do one thing and then another thing, and then so we got two positive things, and then all of a sudden some comes out of the left field and we go back 3 steps, and then we're like, oh, thought we were a little bit more ahead, and it turns out that we weren't. However, in the grand scheme of things, we are. We're ahead because we we make that conscious decision to continue whatever that is that we do, that we like to do, we want to do. Uh, and that by itself is hard. It's hard to do really just about anything in life. I mean, some things take less skill, time, effort than others, but we have to make a conscious effort, or sometimes we have a subconscious, that comes into play. And I was having a conversation with somebody, and we were just talking about, unconscious decision making of how do we know when that is happening. And I brought up the example of eating, let's say eating lunch, and we have whatever type of food we like in front of us. And we subconsciously know that we probably should eat. And so, for each bite we take or each sip we take, there there isn't really a thought like, okay, I'm taking a sip right now, one, two, three, or I'm taking a bite, one, two, three, and I'm gonna chew 7 times and then swallow, which I did hear that's the average somewhere a while back, that the average chews of food is around 7 before we swallow the food. That was interesting to hear that and to bring that into the conversation. But we just want to share and talk about how some things we just inherently subconsciously do, and that's even when things are hard, when it feels like we're not getting anywhere, feels like we're sinking in that quicksand. And so then we start to question what we're doing. Am I doing the right thing? Am I going in the right direction? Or what do I need to do? Uh, and I guess I would move forward in this way of let's give ourselves some credit. Let's give ourselves some time to, uh, whether it's a big task or project that we do or a small one, let's just take the time and accept that we did do something and we did something that was really helpful. It was good. And this doesn't have to do with winning the lottery and having all this money or uh, going on this trip on a private jet or it's not all things like that. Sometimes it's the small ones of just grounding ourselves, of being present in the moment. And I struggle with this. It We have so many things that we feel in our mind that we need to do. I need to get this project done. And then after I get that project done, I need to do this project. Once I do that, and then we have all these things, and that's like our mind is just full of ideas and full of things, speaking for myself, of things to do. Some of them are fun, some of them aren't so fun, but they're both needed to come to that, let's say, come to that conclusion, I guess, of a project or a thing that it takes both kinds. And by just adding a little bit of like, wow, I didn't realize I did this, or I didn't realize I did this a year ago, because we're so quick to move on to the next project or the next interview or the next house, next whatever that next thing is. So quick to move on that we lose track of, in some ways, of what we've done and how we got here. And I can think back many years ago when I finished my grad school. I think it was then. There might have been one after my undergrad that I did as well. But what I did was bring in, so if anybody's heard of a mixtape, right? You bring in your favorite songs or somebody else's favorite songs and you put it together. Back in my day, it started out with the cassette tape, and then it moved over to the CD, and now it's the Apple Music and the Amazon Music and those types of things. And so we would put those together, like, hey, this is a mixtape on this particular artist or this particular genre or this particular event. Uh, like if we were having a party, we would like, oh, we're gonna put a party uh, CD or a party list together, and then that's gonna be what's gonna be playing during the party. So we pick out different songs, we put it together, and so where I'm going with this is at those times, I think I did one at the end of undergrad and the one after my grad school. Uh, but what ended up happening was my yeah, I mean, I guess it was in my grad school, I had the opportunity to go and travel to Italy for I didn't get to do the full semester, but it was a 2 week uh, trip to Italy, and we traveled to all kinds of businesses. We traveled to a business that works on helicopters, that had a contract for the Marine Ones for our president, the United States, that they were working on. And so we were able to like there was a lot of security, obviously, obvious reasons. Uh, but we were able to like, take the platform and step in and go in a non-finished helicopter, and you kind of have that shell. And so we were able to do some cool things. And we went to some wineries that were local or domestic, is what we would call it, where they only sold their wine into stores in Italy. And then there were larger wineries that sell worldwide. And so what we would do is prior to the trip, we would have different projects and papers to do ahead of time. Um, while we were there, every day we had to do like a journal. So we would write, what we did, where we went, what we learned, because we just about every single day we were overseas. We went to some form of business. And so that's where one of the projects was, is we did journals for each day. Those got graded. And then when we traveled back home, we compiled that into a final paper. And then we did a final presentation in front of the whole school, or the whole university. And uh, and so I look at those journals as, here's what I did today, here's what I did yesterday. And if I look back on those now, I'd be like, oh wow, we went, I didn't remember going to the Pirelli tire plant or the Vespa plant, the motor scooters that are very, I mean, very attractive looking, and a lot of people ride them overseas, and even here in the United States and other parts of the world. But if I don't look back on that, then it almost slips my mind of like, oh, like what company did I have? And oh, I didn't remember doing that. I can't. I went to the Prada plant and watched Prada designer products being made right there in their factory. And those were like fun and cool things to do. I was like, oh wow, this is sweet. I'm over here in Italy and I'm at this plant and I'm watching somebody make a pair of Prada shoes or a purse. And and so there's some of those things where it's like, yeah, that's so fun. That's so neat to be able to do that. So I encourage anybody, not even just to travel because it gets expensive, but if you do some things that are what somebody might think a little bit out of the ordinary, or like, why are you doing that? If you want to do it and it's interesting to you, give it a shot. And and so to bring myself back into, these mixtapes. So when we got back from Italy in grad school, I had went to Italy for the same international business class in undergrad. The same thing as far as you're over there, you're on a bus, you're all over the place, all hours of the day, and it's to learn about business. It's to learn about business, companies, and other parts of the world where we live, and then we compare, contrast, and that's kind of how the big idea of learning. So after grad school, we had a ton of different pictures. We did some for undergrad, but we had, just because it was a couple years later, technology wise, photos. We had more photos at the end. And so one of our classmates afterwards said, "Hey, send me your photos. I'll put them together. I'll make a video." And I didn't quite know exactly like what that meant, other than there was going to be photos from all of us that were going to be shown. Uh, places and where we went and having fun and just hanging out uh and so when the videos on the C or this was on the DVD finished, we all met one evening uh and we watched it. And so what the video was, it was everybody's photos. Not everybody, like let's say I sent 10, not all 10 of my photos were in the video. Some things are going to be similar uh, across the board. And so if there's a group shot uh, at a particular organization or at a particular museum, then those usually would be uh, selected, which makes sense because we're a class. So yes, we're individuals, but we're together as classmates. And he put it to music, and so it was it was 10 minutes or 8 minutes, but it was different songs back to back to back to back to back for that whole time. And then there were photos, and if there was like a short, like 5-second video, a couple of those I think were added in there. And and I was like, oh, this is cool. Like this is a keepsake. As I say that, I don't know where it's at. So I'm sure someday I'll come across it. So later, after uh, after that trip, after grad school, I think it was right around when that was ending, I wanted to put together something very similar, but on accomplishments that I had at that time. I just finished grad school, so I had the grad school diploma, I had the undergrad diploma, I had different trips. Some of those Italy international business pictures were there. Uh, Going to ball games with friends and the like. And I reminisce on this show at this time, and I look back, and I also don't know where that one's at either. So I need to do a little bit better keeping those together. But what ended up happening over the years is because our minds just we've got so many things that we're thinking and we're doing and we're thinking and we're doing and then we look up and are like, wow, like a year has gone by or 6 months or I mean anybody that's ever had a child uh, at the time when they're born, it seems like the days are so long, right? Because you're constantly feeding, changing, rocking, you're changing a diaper, you're constantly looking out. It's like, well, I got to look out for somebody other than myself. And and so when we do that, sometimes, and this has nothing to do with having a child, but I'm just saying that as I sit here today, our daughter is much older, and it's like, oh my gosh, where did that time go? But again, at the time, in that moment, it seemed like that moment was taken for a very long time. And now it's like, oh my gosh, this is it, time doesn't stop. And I've been a person at times where, we look forward to things. We look forward to a trip, going to a ball game, uh, family gathering, I don't, whatever. We look so much forward that we don't ground ourselves and just, stop and look around, see the sights, the scenes, laugh at a joke, whatever that is. And so these mixtapes or this mix video, I guess we'll call it, that I had put together on my own after the one for our grad school international business trip to Italy. Uh, there's a lot of things where not that you have to be reminded every single day, but I think there's too much time goes by where we don't look back and we don't go, oh yeah, I did that, or I was there. I had an opportunity of a lifetime. And in a way, we kind of forget. It's still in the back of our mind somewhere, but because again, so many things going on, so many things, so many projects, so many tasks that uh, just mentally get draining just thinking about them. And I think not just for me, but I think for a lot of us, it's okay to like take a step back or roll back, however, we're able to sit or even stand. Uh, that's not the big thing. The big thing is just to stop and not to have to pat ourselves on the back, but trying to think of the right word, but it's not coming to mind. But where we, wow, takes a lot for me to be speechless. So when we can stop and look back and go, wow, that was that was interesting. That was incredible. That was remarkable. Whatever the words we want to use, but for me, just with degrees of undergrad and grad school, if anybody would ask me during high school, the last thing I wanted to see was another book, was another test, another quiz, another presentation, another reading several chapters and summarizing them and answering the questions and writing the essays and on and on and on. And yet, many years later, I I went to school again twice. Uh, and so it just really shows that at different times we do different things. But as long as they're, up to us and we're the ones making the decision, like, oh, well, maybe I'll go to undergrad. And then, oh, maybe I'll go to grad school. My employer might pay some of the cost. And so that was something I looked into, and that was one of many reasons that I didn't have to worry about having to pay back so much. Because as we know, education and trainings and all that, the costs just add up and up and up and up. And it seems that there's no end in sight, just a constant increase. And so it's okay to stop, think, listen, watch, touch, feel, whatever we're able to do. And remember, we've all gone through a lot. Good friend, Mark McAdams, from Life Warrior United. He's uh, Make America Manly Again, Make America Masculine Again. Father of Elston Berry, the Take It Down Law. husband of Miss Anna, and uh, he puts it so succinctly of we've all been we've all been through a lot of shit. Sorry for the uh, choice of word, but we've been through a lot of shit, a lot of things, good, bad, anything in between. And so it's all right to just slow down when we get those times where it's almost like I had a thought, like swimming in our phone, where like our mind is just swimming from app to app to app to email to message, eh, and our mind is just swimming from task to project and task to project, project to task, and it's just constantly a battle. Like, am I ever going to get ahead? Am I ever going to get through whatever this is? Uh, it feels like things are never ending. That bad things are that's not the right word I was looking for. There's just so much that we all go through on a day-to-day basis. And no matter what anybody says, self-help books and speakers and this, they got the, and I do. I have a book uh, called The House of You, Five Workforce Preparation Tips for a Successful Career. But it's not really preachy, where it's preaching like you have to do these. And if you don't do all of these, then you can't have this particular outcome or a high percentage of a particular outcome. And so there's no real self-help coaching that anybody outside of ourselves is going to know more than we are. And I know this from many years of therapy and talking at therapy and having voices for voices be a key part of my life, and having the show being not just a key part of my life, it's a key part of a lot of people's lives. And we thank you all for making our show what it is, what it continues to be, uh, and in turns to us for not only just advocacy, but just looking for good things that we can just talk to as human beings. And, when we see and hear human beings maybe taken advantage of or abused or whatever, we do want to talk about that, because that, as hard as it is, it's a part of life. And we don't wish it on anybody. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't talk about it. Because I have a feeling there's quite a few people who feel like nobody's listening to them. Nobody wants to hear them. And when I first started therapy, when I first hit rock bottom in 2017, it was exhausting to tell psychiatrists, the counselors, all the things that were just on my mind. And I had a list of 138 different things. And I was able to write that in like no time. But I had to share those, what was in my mind, what was causing me to be a part of what was making me feel the way I was feeling before I could move forward. And so by us, Voices for Voices, being able to be, again, not only a voice for ourselves, but for others is so critical because I know how exhausting it is. And that's even if you're talking to somebody that has the compassion and and truly is there to help. But then there's other people where it's like, oh my gosh, like I got to relive this all over again. And there might not be an understanding. Then I'm going to feel like you spent so much mental capacity sharing. And it takes a whole long time, at least for me, over 30 years before I was ready to share and admit that I needed help and got it. And once I did it, it's like this huge weight lifted off. And that weight's still there from time to time. Sometimes it's heavier, sometimes it's lighter. So for us to be a light, to be an avenue, to be a medium, the platform where anybody can tune in at any time, with us having so many episodes and so many topics and so many areas, and we have phenomenal guests. We have in studio episodes, we have out of studio episodes, we have episodes on location. Um, we've done a lot better at covering some current events as they happen. And it's important that we do that and spend just as much time and energy doing that like we do the in studio episodes. Because again, we want to help people. I don't want to just help people on once a week. I want to help or at least share and hopefully help more times a week than just once with an in studio episode. And we love our in studio episodes. We're so grateful and humbled to be able to be having the opportunity to do that. And it's just that. And and we also value our episodes just like this, where we can come to you in a short period of time and don't have to wait a month or a couple weeks for this episode to drop. But just talk. I mean, maybe you laugh, maybe you cry, maybe you nod, maybe you shake your head, but just joining us and being part of this movement, which is so incredible. It almost seems like not every day, but often, at least as of late, I'm starting to, and we're starting to get really good feedback of who's watching, who's listening. And I'll say that to anybody that has a show or anything, if you show up for a presentation and you only sold one ticket, but the person about that one ticket so interested in what you had to say and what you're doing, I'd much rather have that than to have 200 individuals who could care less. that are on their phones the whole time you're speaking and talking and sharing or watching a video or whatever that is. And so anybody has a show, if you have one follower, one subscriber, it's all right. It's the value, it's the quality of the people that are tuning in. So if I have, or we have, let's say we have let's say we have 1,000 downloads overall total, listening, viewing. And if all those 1,000 are just kind of passively watching and listening, then I'm not doing my job. But if I had 10 listeners, 10 viewers, and those 10 are like, wow, we don't always agree with what Justin says, what his guests say, the viewpoints, but he's just being transparent and talking about life and trying to be a light as much as possible. And so I'll end on this. We don't have millions of followers. We don't have millions of subscribers. We don't have, our show isn't monetized. But with the feedback that I'm getting of individuals that have tuned in at least the one episode or one part of one episode, we're reaching parts and areas I never thought would be possible, especially because we don't have those huge numbers. But what we must have is something that's interesting, something that people can relate to. So I don't care if we never have millions of followers, millions of subscribers, because if there's at least one person that's able to step back from that ledge, is able to feel empowered to do something they've always wanted to do, to not take no for an answer if it's a project that they're very passionate on. If you want to write a book, write a book. Talk to somebody who has. We all know that there's lots of information out there. No reason why you can't. I've been told the two pamphlets, the one on my mental health journey and then the career focused one, that I'm all over the place, and that's probably the case. But I still accomplished something I set my sight out to. Is it a new or any of the New York Times bestsellers or Amazon bestsellers? No. Will they ever be? Probably not. And I'm okay with that. I just know that we're helping people. And that's the name of the game for Voices for Voices, for me. And we want to thank you for all the times you've tuned in, you've watched, you've listened. We're very shortly going to be rounding 300 total episodes. I thought my goal was that we would reach 300 total episodes by the end of calendar year 2025. And it looks like maybe middle of August or maybe sooner, we're going to hit that 300 number. And that's just mind boggling to me. But all I can say is it's a lot of work, it's a lot of hard work, Some of it's fun, some of it's not fun, but that's life. Sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's mediocre. But thank you for tuning in to Voices for Voices. We're glad, we're happy, we're humbled, we're grateful for you. If you're able to, if you can give us a big thumbs up, like, share, follow, subscribe. We greatly appreciate that. And until next time, I am your host, founder of Voices for Voices, Justin Allen Hayes. Let's celebrate our voices and please be a voice for you or somebody in need. We'll see you on the next episode.